What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall markets. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and talk about some big factors involving the markets. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon in just about 2 weeks from now. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. Looking at NIO, we're just range bound right now. NIO has a tendency of hitting this 5.6 areas resistance. Every time we hit that, we do tend to get rejected. And when we hit the 5.2 area, we do have a tendency of getting bought back up. So we'll be watching to see which way the market ends up going as we're waiting for some new developments. But for now, we're going to be watching to see the strength that's building. Now, just know that we have some important things coming up for the markets. Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. And we have a little bit before the market opens some industrial manufacturing numbers coming out at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 15 minutes before the market opens. Look for some volatility. We have some manufacturing production and industrial production numbers coming out. And besides that, once again, it's all going to be very minor as we just have some bill and bond auctions at 11:30 and 1 p.m. Everything's very minor for tomorrow except for the industrial manufacturing numbers coming out before market open. So we'll see what that leads to. Besides that, there's nothing too crazy going on as the market's getting ready for September 18th, Wednesday, which is FOMC day. It's going to be very huge. That's the big catalyst right now. Now, the Fed's about to cut rates, and I think that this is going to be the end of an economic era for sure. The Fed was tightening for many months, if not over a year, and it's been going on for a long time with their whole tightening cycle. So now the Fed's entering a position where they're going to be likely reducing rates, and they could be entering a state of quantitative easing all over again. Now, as of right now, that's what's looking like to be the most likely case. We'll see if Jerome Powell confirms this. The market's now expecting a 50 basis point cut. There's a 67% chance we get that. And the majority of traders are now kind of like betting on that right now. And then there's also something very else that's important. There's currently a 33% chance we get a 25 basis point cut. So we'll see which way we end up going. For other factors out there, the market's neutral when it comes to our fear and greed index, and momentum is currently at greed, so we'll see how that shifts. On top of this, we also have extreme greed making up our strength, but the puts and call option ratio is at fear still. So that's showing us that a lot of people were just buying these puts, and now we're starting to see some puts being closed as the ratio is shifting. As far as NEO goes, there's been a lot of talk about the Envoy L60. It's getting a lot of attention right now as it's going to be launching in Europe and it's going to be a very big competitor. It's actually at about a 12% reduction compared to Tesla's Model Y, and it's cheaper than that. So the question is, how will this end up doing? It's going to be very popular in many different parts of Europe, in my opinion. I think it has a very nice interior, looks very fancy, and it's at a very good price considering the quality. So I think it's very cool. Will this get a lot of sales? I really hope it does. I think there's a lot of potential in this. But as far as its future goes, this is going to be a big winner in my opinion. So with the launch of this coming, this could be a big catalyst for NEO. But for the time being, there might be a little dip in the share price nonetheless. As far as NEO's future goes, we're talking about a lot of upside potential for the long term. There's been a lot of talk about how the share price is down compared to where it was before. However, looking many years into the future, there's a lot of talk about how the share price could be pushing to much higher levels. So way down here, we actually have a chart that shows it. So right here, people are forecasting it might be pushing into like the 30s over the next couple of years. And by next year, they're expecting it to reach around the $14 price target. So it's not bad whatsoever. I think it's very possible we see numbers like this, but I think NEO could surpass this because once again, there's going to be a big squeeze that's going to be coming to it once we start to see a lot of catalysts pan out. But the number one thing we're waiting for it would be their margins. Can NIO eventually reach a profit? I think they will achieve it in a few years, but their strategy is to have thinner margins and to have basically a scaling that's going on right now. So they're trying to increase production numbers and deliveries. And they're currently the third largest EV company in China. So I think it's pretty cool, but there is potential in this nonetheless. 37 million is what the volume is below average. And then when it comes to other factors out there, we also have JP Morgan basically giving us an overweight rating. So what do I see for NEO? What's my prediction for this? In my opinion, I think NEO is just range bound. Tomorrow, I think we could be dipping back down towards 5.35, maybe a little bit lower to the 5.2 area. And then we could try to rebound, just continue to consolidate. That's all I'm really seeing for tomorrow, a lot of consolidation. That's the most likely case. As far as SPY goes, I think we're also kind of range bound. We did dip, as I predicted, all the way down to about 560, only to rebound. So far it's trying to hold up. It is possible they try to push it up towards this imbalance up here. So it could go a little bit higher, actually. It could go a little bit higher before we see another dip back down. But I think we're just going to be trading sideways between 560 and 565 for now. Not really doing much. So look for a little bit more upside than a dip and then some consolidation in that range. SPY has not been able to break past 565 and 563, that range. So we could be testing that tomorrow, then come back down to 560 and continue to consolidate. And then we'll see what happens with the market once FOMC comes out. Will it push us higher or not? We're waiting for that. Bitcoin's dipping a little bit, so it could actually consolidate. Look at resistance at 58,300 and our support at 57,000. We could rebound to the 58,300 area before we try to reject. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For um Nvda, I think we could be once again forming a possible inverse head and shoulders. It could dip again tomorrow to retest 114, then bounce back up and continue to consolidate. So I see some consolidation. If we do get a bounce here, this could lead to a big rebound. If we hold above 114, that's going to be very, very key. But there is a possible inverse head and shoulders forming. For ES, we're attempting to push higher. I think it might consolidate a bit, but then eventually try to get up to these highs. So I'm thinking that it might try to push a little higher from a bearish divergence, then dip back down, just continue to trade sideways. So look for a potential test of 5650, then I move back down to the lower 5600s and some consolidation. For Tesla, Tesla's also trading sideways right now. We have this resistance to watch for at this 230 area. Supports at 226 and 222. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla continues to consolidate. Could pop again tomorrow morning, dip back down closer to 222, then bounce again and continue to trade sideways. That's all I'm anticipating for now. We had some bad news involving their overall charging stations. They're basically decreasing the rate at which they are being produced. That's okay, guys. It's not the end of the world. That's just something that's happening during times like these. The Nasdaq and NQ are a little bit weaker than that of SPY, so I'm seeing money kind of moving away from tech. We could still be forming kind of like an inverse head and shoulders, but there could be a little bit of a dip coming. So look for 1935 to 19,275, so that entire range down there before it tries to bounce again. For the QQQ, we could be dipping again. We have basically this 470 area as our support, followed by 469. So it could dip a little bit before it tries to rebound again. So look for a small dip into the high 460s before it tries to bounce. For Apple, we're looking a little bit more bearish. We dipped quite a bit. I think we might attempt to get back up to about 217 tomorrow, then consolidate in this lower range. That's going to be a tough resistance, but then I do see some sideways price action nonetheless. The IW may also dip a bit towards 216 before we try to get bought back up and consolidate. So I see a lot of consolidation also coming to this. So it needs a little bit more time to develop. For Coinbase, we attempted to bounce only to reject. So we're going to be looking at 160, see if that holds. If it does not hold, we're looking for 158 all over again and then below. If it does hold, we could rebound, but it looks a little bit weak. We have kind of like a symmetrical structure. Could dip a little bit towards like the 150s, so just be careful. Amazon is starting to slow a little bit. I think we might be testing 183.5 tomorrow. We'll see if it bounces off this or not. If it loses 183.5, we could be looking for a dump into the 180 area. So be careful on Amazon. It could tip a little bit. So be very mindful of that as tech is weakening. Meta, on the other hand, got some bullish news. That's why it kind of dipped and then bounced. So it's holding up nicely for the time being. It might push closer to about 536 around this resistance. And then it could actually come back down towards 528. So look for a little bit of balance, then a move back down. For Microsoft, I think that we have kind of like a higher low is trying to be established. It's kind of shuffling around 430. If we lose 430, we're looking for a dip. If it holds this, we could rebound. I think it's going to continue to shuffle and possibly dip because 430 is looking kind of stubborn right here. Google's also kind of shuffling around the 160 area. Might also kind of shuffle here for a bit as well. So it might shuffle and come back down to 157. So we'll see how it goes. But as far as the market goes, guys, I'm seeing tech looking a little bit weaker. The S&P 500 still has some potential strength which could push it a little higher before it dips back down. I'm seeing a lot of consolidation, then possibly a dip as well. So watch and see how it goes. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. That's it for my update. As far as NIO goes, we're doing a good job at holding up, but we'll see how it ends up holding the support. I think it might dip a little bit tomorrow morning to the 5.2s and rebound, and it might just continue to trade sideways. Now, it could be forming a double top as well, as this resistance is very tough in the 5.6s. So we'll see if NIO starts to decline. As of right now, this is all I'm seeing on the trend. With that being said, I thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Until then, have a great night and peace out.